Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Christopher Chu, coach and founder of the Hero's Journey Experience, which is a men's-only ayahuasca retreat held in South America. So today, we're going to continue talking about the Hero's Journey and what it's been like for me as I've been living abroad in Asia, South America, all over for the last 6 years, and what I've been learning. So the next chapter is the Ordeal. In the Ordeal, this is when the protagonist, the main character, has to go through pretty much go through an obstacle or a struggle, or maybe even go through hell. And this is where they face their demons and have to ultimately conquer them. It's where they have to go deep inside and really search for that strength and figure out why they're doing things. And then ultimately it's about overcoming that battle and growing stronger and learning from it. So I had a couple different goals that I set in mind when I initially moved here to Thailand. The big draw for me was training Muay Thai, Thai kickboxing, and I wanted to have my first fight. And the other main draw for me of coming out here was to dive deeper into meditation, to really get a handle on my mental and emotional world, and just learn about spirituality and esoteric and that whole rabbit hole. So the tangible goal for me for meditation was I wanted to go to a Vipassana retreat. A Vipassana retreat is when you go to a Thai Buddhist temple out here in Thailand and you basically live there with the monks for anywhere from 10 days to 30 days. And for me, that was a pretty big stretch because I had really never done meditation until I got out here. And the thought of sitting just by myself with my thoughts for a whole day scared the shit out of me. And then to do that for 10 days straight, that's really pushing me outside my comfort zone. So the big reason why, like I said, that I wanted to do this retreat was I realized, that as I was starting to learn more about myself and have awareness about what's going on with my emotions, I started to realize that there's some deeper stuff going on inside of me. I mentioned that I suffered a collapse lung when I was working back in New York at a really high-paced, high-stress job on Wall Street. And I contribute that, scared to my health, the damage that happened to me, I contributed, obviously there was physical things and my habits weren't healthy, but I attribute that to a lot of deep trauma, stuff from childhood. So, I was as I've been reading more about books and learning about myself, I was like, you know what? I think there's stuff from unresolved issues, things such as being bullied as a kid because I grew up as the only Asian American in upstate New York, where I pretty much grew up, and that had a really big effect on my self-confidence, my self-esteem, my self-image, lack of self-love, and then also I would say the home environment where I grew up. I had a very strained relationship with my father, who I love dearly. We still talk, but growing up, it was a very different story, and I didn't have the tools to communicate that with him and to try and heal that relationship. So that home environment was very stressful for me, and it left some deep inner wounds that were unresolved. So the reason to go back to why I wanted to go back to the meditation retreat was I wanted to see what was down inside, deep inside, because I was obviously repressing and suppressing all these emotions for the whole 30 years of my life at that point. So I just wanted to just go at a temple and just see what comes out from this experience, what maybe memories that I had forgotten about, what traumas, and kind of just release that and heal it. So, I had talked to other people also about their experiences at the meditation, the Vipassana retreat, and everyone had really positive experiences to say. They said, obviously it was very hard on them. Some people were experiencing, I remember I talked to one friend, he said he actually experienced a nervous breakdown. He was in fetal position in the corner of his room and just crying and just having a complete total mental breakdown. And so yeah, that I was like, you know, and obviously when I heard these things, I'm like, what the fuck? Why am I even gonna put myself through this type of ordeal? But I ultimately knew that it would be healthier for me, my mental, emotional health, and that this is an experience that would help me grow as a person and find out more about myself and kind of help me navigate life as well. So yeah, and I also wanted to really solidify my meditation practice. Because I now moved to Thailand, I was practicing regularly with my teacher, Toby, but I wanted to really go deep in a short amount of time. So that was the main reason of going to the retreat, to really just focus on that 100%. So I did my retreat in Chiang Mai, which is in the northern part of Thailand. It's up in the mountains. And the name of the temple is Wat Rompong. And so I get there, and it's mostly Thai people, but then they also have foreigners come in. And there is about, I think, 8 other foreigners that were in my group that signed up that day. And we get greeted by a monk, Pra Chaibadin. He's this Thai monk. And immediately I'm like, who is this character? Because he was very like loud and outspoken and very direct and flamboyant, and almost, you could say, almost like a drill sergeant. And when you think of monks, typically you think of like all zenned out, calm AF. And this guy was like the complete opposite. And he had a bit of a, like, I would say, a wise ass humor to him. But I could tell he was a good guy ultimately. And he was just being this way because he actually cared. So the first day we get there, and we have to like give them our smartphones and stuff like that because there's no distractions. So yeah, for 10 days, the schedule is pretty much, you wake up 4 in the morning, you start meditating for a couple hours, and you also in between sitting meditation and walking meditation. And then you have lunch or breakfast around, I think, 6 a.m. And then you meditate pretty much for another 3 or 4 hours, and then you have your final meal, which is lunch, around 11 or 12. And that's it. You're only allowed to eat twice a day and no meals after lunch. And so yeah, that was probably one of the bigger things that I was also actually worried about as well. Like, I love to eat. That's my simple pleasure I get to have every day. That's a source of happiness. And for me to be like, oh my God, I'm limited as to what I can eat, that really was like a big sticking point for me of like, do I really want to do this? And the other thing also was sleeping. So you meditate all day, and that's pretty much all you do. And then you go to bed around 9 or 10. So you're only getting 6 hours of sleep or so, 5 or 6 hours. And that's my other big thing that I had apprehensions about, was would I be able to survive on just so little sleep? So yeah, I was pretty, you would say I was pretty freaked out. I had a lot of anxiety before I even came to this temple. I remember messaging Toby, my teacher, and being like, Toby, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm really doubting myself. I'm having second thoughts about even going to the temple, and he could tell that I was kind of like jittery about it. And I remember the thing that he told me, and it was, thinking about doing something is harder than actually doing it. And that stuck with me because I realized I had been, before I even went, I had been getting into this story inside my head of how hard it was gonna be. And then it's like, and that's kind of what I do in life. I overthink things and I get stuck inside my head as opposed to just doing the freaking task. So yeah, that actually helped. And once I got to the temple, I felt a little bit better. But yeah, so for 10 days, and that's the thing, you're also not allowed to speak to anybody, not even eye contact. When you're eating at the table, you sit by yourself, no talking. So that actually was the easy part for me. I don't mind not talking. So yeah, for 10 days, that was the schedule. And then once a day, you're allowed to meet with the monk and ask him or her a question and kind of get guidance. So for 10 days, that was pretty much my schedule. And also to wear all white clothes. So I would say the hardest part was probably the first couple days as I was transitioning and settling in. And I remember the first, maybe second night, that is when the heavy emotions came out. I woke up from a dream, and my father was in that dream. And in that dream, we were fighting. We were in a physical altercation. And to be honest, this is something that I've had in the past before of these dreams of conflict with my father. And I remember waking up, slamming my fist on the bed and saying, I effing hate you, and just really being just a lot of anger coming out. And that was his thing, all this heavy anger, this resentment, this hostility, it all came spewing out that night. And I don't know what triggered it. I don't know, but it just came out. And this is the thing, a week or two before that, my parents actually came to visit me in Thailand. And, you know, maybe there was something that might have stuck from that trip with my father. But I think on a deeper level, this is stuff that I had bottled up for, like I said, over 30 years, especially from childhood. I didn't release any of these thoughts or expressions or communicate how I was feeling. And so, yeah, growing up, there was always tension between my father and I. And so, yeah, I think what happened was at the retreat, it's a safe environment, and because my subconscious felt safe enough to release these things, that's what happened on the first or second night. So that was a pretty big occurrence for me to happen so fast. And I was like, whoa, what the hell is that about? So anyways, I go through the retreat, and I think that was the thing. I was worried about having this mental breakdown. And by the 6th day, I finally started to feel more relaxed. I started to get in a routine, and I felt better about being at the temple. And that morning, I remember actually crying tears of relief, because I was like, wow, this is actually not so bad. I made it to the 6th day or so, and I haven't wanted to leave or go crazy. And that's the thing too, I was worried that I was gonna go crazy with my thoughts of just being with myself and not knowing what was gonna come up. So yeah, I remember the 6th day, I actually had tears of joy. Not joy, but I guess maybe relief that I had made it up to that point so far, and that, wow, this actually isn't so bad. So from that point on, I was really able to enjoy myself and be present. So I made it through the 10 days, and now I'm gonna talk about what I learned from going through this ordeal. So for me, the biggest insight I would say is it had to do with releasing those heavy emotions regarding my father. And when I left, I felt this heaviness, this weight, this emotional weight of years of carrying all those heavy emotions. I've experienced for the first time what it's like to be present and not be engulfed with the past, with past emotions and traumas. I experienced a lightheartedness that I'd never experienced before. And that was a really big insight. And I guess there's a meme on the internet. I think it's got a picture of a fist and it's carrying a hot coal. And I remember that meme, it says something along the lines of, when you carry anger around, it's not burning anyone else except you. And it made crystal clear like what it was saying, because I realized, because I was carrying on to all the stuff from the past regarding my father, I was just doing damage to myself by taking up all this mental space and energy, when I could have been using that for other things, for creative pursuits or for more positive things in my life. So yeah, and that, it doesn't just apply to my father. I think it also applied to other things in life, my other relationships, such as not holding a grudge against other people, moving past certain things, learning how to forgive. And yeah, I would say that was the first time ever in my life where I felt this lightheartedness inside of me, where I was like, wow, why do I grasp and hold on to bullshit in the past, because it's just weighing me down. So that was a really big insight, I would say, from going to the retreat. And the other second thing I would say is, it really, you could say this experience, it felt like someone pressed the reset button on my brain, almost like a hard drive getting erased and formatted and defragged. I was so there was this calmness, this inner peace, this silence inside, which I had never experienced as well either. And it was just like, it's hard to explain. It was just like, I was just so zen, and I was just so present in the moment of whatever I was doing. And I never experienced that, especially coming from New York City, which is the complete opposite, where every second my five senses are being bombarded. And so yeah, it was the complete opposite of that. And to finally experience quietness and inner peace, man, that was blissful. And yeah, that was, I didn't realize it until after I got to the temple, when I gone back to the normal world. So that was another big change, another insight for me to really experience what true inner peace is. And I would say the third big takeaway was really solidifying my meditation practice. By the end, I was doing 7 to 8 hours of meditation a day. And that really, like I said, it gave me a solid base, a solid foundation of what it is to meditate every day, and to be consistent, and to have discipline, and to really practice it. So that really gave me confidence in moving forward with my meditation practice. And so yeah, there was other things I learned, but those are the 3 takeaways that I learned. So, making peace with my past, letting go of heavy emotions, learning how to be present, and experiencing inner peace, and really just solidifying my meditation practice. Those were the big takeaways that I got from the Vipassana retreat in Thailand. So that was the first ordeal. And yeah, I remember they asked me at the end, they're like, do you want to stay for the 30-day retreat? And I was like, hell no, I'm getting out of here. But it's been almost 4 years since I went to that. Was 2013, 5 years. I do actually want to go back and do a 30-day meditation retreat. I think that's super beneficial, and it'll allow me to go even deeper than where I went last time. So that was, like I said, that was the first ordeal. And yeah, that really helped give me a solid foundation to continue going on the hero's journey. And it was probably one of the tougher things I've ever had to do in my life. And it really tested my my mental capacity and my mental boundaries. Because like I said, I did not know what to expect. I was really walking to the unknown at that point, going into a new country, being with monks, being around people I don't know, and just sitting with my thoughts and myself. It's a really hard thing to do, especially with smartphones and distractions. So yeah, I got a lot out of it. I would highly recommend anyone else to go on a Vipassana meditation retreat. They're donation-based. This was only, I think, 2,000 or 3,000 baht, and included all the food and lodging. So that's like 60 to 100 US. So I would say look up dharma.org, I think that it is, or just look up meditation retreats wherever you are, and there's free ones globally, internationally. So I would heavily, heavily recommend you guys out there to go on the meditation retreat, because it'll really give you a solid mental foundation to move forward and learn and grow on this hero's journey. It prepares you for other battles that you have to do. So, and that was a big reason also, because I knew I was gonna have a fight coming up. I wanted to really make sure that my mental state would be ready. I feel confident in my physical fitness, but it was my mental capacity that I did not feel, or that I was not sure about. So that's why I wanted to kind of get the mental base in first before I push myself in a physical fight. So yeah, that's the first ordeal. I'm going to talk about the next ordeal, the fight coming up after that, and then also ayahuasca in the jungle in South America. So stay tuned. Let me know if you have any other questions. Leave a comment. Please hit the subscribe button. And yeah, I love interacting and hearing from you guys. Thanks a lot for listening. I'll talk to you guys later. Much love. Talk to you later. Bye.